Self-improvement is masturbation.
I'm done with self-help and the way it makes me feel. And I'm done with trying to turn myself into some idealized version of what I should be.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. But you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things? Knowledge.
If more information was the answer, we'd all be billionaires with six-pack abs.
Self-improvement.
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 What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to expose the dark side of self-improvement. We're going to show you the 5 big traps that people who are looking to self-improve generally fall into and how you can avoid them. Alright, so before we jump into the big pitfalls that come with self-improvement, I want to point out a very interesting trend that we're seeing on YouTube of these how self-improvement ruined my life type of videos. And these all essentially boil down to one or more of the 5 big issues I'm gonna outline that exist with self-improvement. This video is not intended to tell you what to do. There's plenty of that on YouTube on the PWF channel and the greater self-improvement community in general. This video is gonna show you what you should avoid to make sure that self-improvement is something that's gonna wind up being beneficial for you. So the first and potentially biggest pitfall of self-improvement is what we call action faking. This is when you consume a lot of content, read a lot of books, watch a lot of videos, but you're taking very little, if any, action. You're tricking your brain to giving yourself a false sense of accomplishment, but in reality, you're not accomplishing anything. And this video summarizes the problem perfectly.
Motivational content is useless. Think about the last time you watched a really great TED Talk, really inspired you. Ask yourself this honest question. Did you change your life based on what you learned in that TED Talk? The answer is likely no. And the reason this is the case is because when we consume content like this, we get that dopamine hit and we feel inspired. We're confusing our brain into thinking that we actually took the action, that we actually changed our life. When in reality, all we did was slouch over in our chair and look at a screen. So here's the question. Are you going to keep scrolling through your feed, consuming motivational content in the hope that it changes your life? Or are you going to turn off your phone and get to work?
And unfortunately, this video applies to a lot of people in the self-improvement community. All they're doing is consuming content, buying products, paying for courses, but they're taking very little action and their life stays exactly the same, but they think that they're leveling up. So I don't take the same position as the person in this video. I think some motivational content can be beneficial, some theory is good, but it has to be balanced out with action. Most of what you're doing when it comes to self-improvement has to actually be action, things you're doing on the street, and not just consuming various theory. The second big pitfall is becoming a self-improvement robot. This may seem kind of funny, but unfortunately it happens pretty often to people in this community. There's basically people who go way too far down the self-improvement rabbit hole and they become weird. Like this guy.
But there was a point in my life where I didn't really socialize at all, and all I did was read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People and The Like Switch and Models by Mark Manson. And it's almost like I was an alien trying to learn how to socially interact with people while I was locking myself in my house, not getting any exposure to people.
This is the ironic thing because in theory, self-improvement should help you socialize, right? It should make you more confident, more charismatic. But for a lot of people, it actually does the opposite. You know, when you're at a party talking about someone who's really into self-improvement and you're like, yeah, man, so I met this chick the other night, and you're like, yeah, just like that Jordan Peterson video. They literally can't talk about anything besides self-improvement, and all they do is just watch videos and read books. This is why self-improvement should always be balanced out with other passions and hobbies and real-life social interaction. The third big pitfall is becoming addicted to hustle culture and focusing on a bunch of arbitrary metrics that really don't matter. This video by Alex Hormozi illustrates this problem perfectly.
If you don't wake up by 5 a.m. every day, you're going to be poor. If you don't make your bed every day, you're going to be poor. I have somehow managed to make $1 million and not I have not made my bed, and I have somehow still managed to make money. And that sounds crazy. Making your bed actually has nothing to do with making money, because it doesn't mean you're selling more stuff, doesn't mean more people are finding out about your stuff. It just means you took a sheet and you put it on the top, which later you're going to take back down and get back into. I think rather than obsessing about things that don't matter, you should focus on the few things that do and do those.
This is funny, but so true. There's a lot of people in the self-improvement community who are doing massive amounts of self-improving, but from the outside perspective, their life stay exactly the same. And that's because they're focusing on things and metrics that don't really matter. You can wake up as early as you want, you can clean your room as much as you want, you can even read as many books as you want, but none of that is actually going to change your life substantially in any tangible way, right? A lot of people get very much lost in the sauce and lose track of the big picture, which is actually tangibly improving the quality of your life in a substantial way. The fourth big pitfall is actually the polar opposite of the previous point I made, which is when you become so obsessed with the external, you completely ignore the internal. These are people who make a lot of money, drive fancy cars, maybe even have big muscles, but internally they stay exactly the same. Think fresh and fit. And the big problem with this is you're building your whole house of cards on a very shaky foundation. And as soon as you get a major setback, everything will come falling down, because internally you still think of yourself as that broke loser. And this is why it's important to counterbalance all the external stuff you're doing with the internal stuff. Working on your self-esteem, getting over any past traumas, and doing that deep inner work, which is not fun, but it's going to ensure that you build your whole house of cards on a very stable foundation. The last, but certainly not least, big pitfall of self-improvement is following the wrong advice. There's many different subsects of self-improvement, right? There's pickup, there's red pill, there's black pill, there's every type of pill, there's general self-improvement. But unfortunately, if you follow the wrong type of advice, not only will you not get better, but you can actually go in the opposite direction and get worse. And this can be very confusing for a lot of people because it's like, hey, whose advice should I follow? There's a lot of conflicting information on the internet. These are the 3 pointers I would give you. The first one is, does that person seem like they have the quality of life that you want? Are they happy? Do they seem like they have good relationships with people? Are they successful? Or are they basically a miserable human being that you would never want to emulate? The second thing you look at is, do they actually follow their own advice? Or are they being a hypocrite and saying one thing and doing the exact opposite? And the third thing I would say I would look at is, does that advice actually work for you? So that comes with a little bit of trial and error. You have to try the thing they're saying, and then you have to be objective and evaluate from an outside perspective, does this piece of advice actually help improve your life? And when you find 1 or 2 people that you like, I recommend that you stick with them and keep following their advice instead of trying a bunch of new things, which can cause you to go backwards. All right, hopefully you guys found this video valuable, and the point of this video is not to dissuade you from self-improvement. Self-improvement is awesome as long as you do it correctly, and the same goes for most things in life. So you make sure you want to avoid these big 5 pitfalls that I mentioned so you don't wind up in the self-improvement junkie loser category. And the last but most important part of self-improvement that I forgot to mention is subscribing to PW Up, because on here we'll always give you guys practical, no BS type of advice. So smash the like button, hit subscribe, and click the bell for notification. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time.